Hi, my cherished loves, and welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurship Now. I am your host, business strategist, LaShay LaRue, your coach in this season of growth. Entrepreneurship Now is the podcast for those kingdom builders out there who want to attract more aligned clients, build better systems, convert consistently, and scale to meet your financial goals. I personally believe that entrepreneurship is one of the best ways to achieving financial freedom, but only if your business is set up with alignment. When I say alignment, I mean from the top to the bottom in the way that you bring on new clients, in the way that you create your systems for delivering your services, and the way that you convert your prospects into actual customers, and the way that you scale. All of that needs to be based around your personal gifts, your personal talents. And I have an incredibly talented guest here today. He is so multifaceted and so diverse in his years of experience. He is an expert in everything from hospitality to some levels of real estate. And today, he's going to share some real gems for you. So hi, Gerard. Welcome today.
Hi, LaShay. Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here today. I want you to go ahead, introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a little bit more about your business.
Absolutely. And first of all, let me just thank you for creating this space for an entrepreneur. I think is very needed in today's economic environment. So congratulations on launching this podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, folks. Hello, everyone. Again, like LaShay said, my name is Gerard Charles, and I own Gerard Charles International. We are a consultant company, and we have our hands as multiple businesses. But our main business, we give business owners, entrepreneurs, services that help in the everyday business. Also, on the consultant end, we provide advice to business owners to be able to help us scale the business, build teams and just be it as a springboard to be able to help them grow the operation.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And you guys, he has so much experience. I've known this gentleman for years. We're in a mastermind together, and I have just absorbed a wealth of knowledge from him over the years. And one of the biggest things is the importance of relationships. A lot of times we think about relationships, and of course, we know the relationship we have with our family, the relationship we have with our friends, the relationship we have with work as a whole. But how intentional are we with expanding our reach, with showing up in places where we can meet new faces and meet potential clients, meet potential partners? A lot of times we complain about not having a circle that can support us enough or not having, and when I say support, sometimes that could be they're not, my ideal clientele, they're not able to buy my services. And sometimes it's that, I don't have a lot of entrepreneurial friends who really understand this journey that I'm going through and what I'm dealing with when it comes to that. But we're not really proactive about fixing that. This gentleman, on the other hand, there are a lot of people who coin themselves as queen of networking. I would to say that you are the king of networking. So tell our audience a little bit more about how networking plays a role within your business.
Absolutely, LaShawn. I could tell you, 25 years being an entrepreneur, working has been the key. To be able to go out, make connections, build relationship, and a lot of time I have people in my different businesses I'm in ask me, "Hey, do you buy leads for your business?" I was like, "Okay, what is that? I don't even know how to do leads." So, I don't do marketing. Working is really the key to be able to go out there, kind of build relationships. So it's been able to help my business immensely over the years. So I know once in a while I'll bump into you here and there at different events. You see me in action. I see you in action too yourself.
Yes, I'm right along with you. I am a firm believer in the power of networking. You guys, I actually took an entire year off of social media. And a lot of people, because there's this trend of people who've been able to amass mass amounts of wealth actually using social media. But I just like to remind people that there were people making six figures. There were people making multi-millions before any of the social media stuff. And there are still people who are doing it as this thing is going on. And that's not to say that social media cannot help you be successful, because it can. But I believe in a holistic approach to lead generation. I don't believe that you should ever put all of your eggs in one particular basket. And here's why: change. Life changes, times change, algorithms change. TikTok can be canceled tomorrow. And if your 100% of your total audience is on TikTok, what are you going to do? Same thing also does go for marketing, because that's actually why I was able to go full time as a business development specialist, because so many of the people that I knew, so many of the entrepreneurs that I knew were really struggling when COVID happened, because they weren't able to network anymore. And it was like, well, where do I get clients from? I don't even know how any of that works. So I'm a firm believer that you shouldn't put all of your eggs in one basket, but you need to be well versed in it all. And I don't mean necessarily to the point of being an expert, right? You just need to do a little here, a little there in everything, and then double down on whatever works best for you. And for this gentleman, it's networking. It's definitely networking. Now, I know networking was a really big part in you building your current clientele. Tell us a little bit more about that, because one thing that's really unique about your clientele is that they've been with you for a while, and that client retention is nothing to just gloss over. Client retention is an area where a lot of entrepreneurs are struggling right now. So, Gerard, tell them a little bit more. How are you doing that? How are you retaining your clients for so long?
Oh, absolutely. And one other thing I want to comment what you say about, social media, LinkedIn, those apparatus is very important, but you have to have a balance, and nothing beat going out, meeting somebody, shaking their hand and says, "Hi, I'm Gerard. Who are you?" Right. And I'm thinking, just kind of listen to what you're saying earlier. I'm thinking, okay, where did I meet LaShay? I didn't meet you online. I met you at a networking event. And today we're here on your podcast. So again, by meeting somebody in person for the first time and you're able to connect and make that relationship, it's huge. And I can tell you that the clients I've had with me the longest, those clients, a few here and there may have come from referral, but most of them, I met them throughout my networking capacity out in the marketplace.
Love that. I love that. So tell us a little bit more about your process, right? Because I know you have to have a process. All the best networkers have a process. So you go to a networking event. How do you start to meet people?
Just say hi, right? So, at a networking event, you don't want to spend 30 minutes with the same person, right? Because everybody's hitting. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the person you're networking. So I get there and, of course, check in, and I start making my rounds, right? It's important not to disrupt people that's already talking, but you have an opportunity to see somebody, especially see somebody by themselves. Maybe they're new to networking. I'll approach them and say, "Hi, my name is Gerard. Who are you? What do you do?" So I always approach them to try to find out what they do. I want them to talk about themselves, what they do for a living, how long they've had the business, and also ask them what's a good contact from, how can I help them, right? And naturally, they will say, "By the way, what do you do?" Then I would say, "Hey, I'm very happy you asked," right? And I go into my spiel about what I do for my business, and sometime, it may be an opportunity that, it could be, we can collaborate in certain areas of our business. And so when I get home, I like to send those individuals an email and just let them know I was very happy to meet them. Now, some prospect depends on the conversation we had at the event that lead me to set up a one-on-one appointment with those individuals. So I definitely try to email everybody, let him know I was very happy to meet him, if I can help in any way.
I love that. Is very well said. As you were talking, I felt a little guilty for a second, because you were saying how when you're networking, you don't want to spend 30 minutes. And as the most talkative person probably in most rooms, I've been guilty of that. I've been guilty of that. Conversation gets good, and before you know it, is that, oh my goodness, it is the end of the event. So I've definitely had to do better with that, so that I can maximize the networking opportunity. And what you just mentioned about setting up those one-on-ones, that's been a really good way to help me with that, because it gives me a natural way of also collecting their information and having that conversation later on, because it's like, oh, you know what? This is such a great conversation. I don't even want to take up all of your time. I know you want to see other people in the room. Let's set up a virtual coffee. Let's set up a one to one. And I'll do it right then and there. I'll here scan this. Here you go. Here's my phone. What's your number really quick? Send them the link. And they're usually scheduling within 24 hours. And now I have a person on my calendar. And now we have truly dedicated time one on one to talk a little bit more about exactly what you said. What's going on with them? And that's a thing that I find a lot of entrepreneurs forget. We don't like sitting across from someone who all day wants to talk about themselves. We do not. It's no one likes that. That's the worst thing. The insurance person who comes in there and wants to tell you about this multi-level marketing thing and how you can do it and it's going to do all these great things for your life. We're sitting there like, oh goodness, someone please walk over here and save me. No one likes that. So don't be that person either. Give people a chance to start with, hey, what do you do? People really like talking about themselves and what they have going on. That's why we do it, right? But unless you want to sell to just you, that is not the approach that you want to take. You want to take the time to find out about your guest, right? So, speaking of that, as we're talking about relationships, we're talking about people, right? And there's the people and how you attract them and bring into your business. But then as you work with them and you're able to build those relationships and help them grow their business, there comes a time where they need to expand. They need to take that business to the next level. We cannot be just jacks of all trade and focus on doing everything in our business and want to scale. You're going to have to outsource. You're going to have to bring on new people. And Gerard, I know that's an area where you are really an expert in that. You've got a lot of experience helping a lot of major companies with that. So I'd love for you to go over the onboarding process or really even the process that happens before onboarding for our audience that are in that position where they need to scale. They need to scale and they need to expand their team. What should they be doing?
So, a client will come to me and say, okay, I'm looking to grow my team. Again, quality interviews to make sure you have the right people that's going to fit your operation. Two, three interviews, get the person in, find out about their background, their family, and kind of what their why is, why they want to, work for that particular company. So a lot of time my clients come to me and they're expanding, looking to scale, and I listen to them and I'll be able to point them in a certain direction that I'll be able to get a maximum result for the business.
I love that. I love that. Now, let's talk about the logistics of it, right? Let's get into the tea. So, when you're hiring and you're wanting to find employees, what are some of the best tools that you yourself use?
Definitely referral is a good tool to use because everybody knows somebody, right? Certainly LinkedIn. So, some of the different social media out there, Facebook business page, Indeed is a good platform for us to look at. But some of our best people I have find for client is really just calling out people that I know and say, hey, do you know this person? Do you know somebody who can help us at this capacity? So referral is huge when I'm trying to help a client scale the business and look for people for the team.
Yeah, and you're right. That's a really big trend right now for a lot of entrepreneurs. I've heard people who are on the interviewing and they're looking for a job and they put in these applications and sometimes the position is already hired and it's like, well, where are they even getting these people from? Did they even look at any of these applications? And a lot of it is because of what Gerard just said, because they're using their relationships and that goes back to the point of networking and its importance, right? We can't look at what is it that a person can do for me right now today. You never know what seed is being sown in that interaction, in that moment, in that meeting with that person that can bear fruit later on. I was talking to a wonderful young lady not that long ago, and she was talking about how she got a job that almost seems handcrafted for her, and that came from her hosting an event and meeting someone there and having a really good interaction with them at that time 10 years ago, you guys. 10 years ago, but she made enough of an impression that, all this timeline, I'm pretty sure the person kept up with her on social media. So that's why I say it is important to have these things, but it came from a seed that she sowed a really long time ago. And originally she had engaged the person looking for sponsorship, right? But now this person ended up being able to present her with an employment opportunity. So networking is so incredibly vital, from the way that you're attracting your clients, from the way that you're attracting and building your team, really just to everything. You never know. So don't think short term of what can this person do for me right now. The goal is to expand our reach, expand our network. That is the name of the game. Now, I know with a lot of your clients, you're also very involved in the hiring process. So give us some advice for our audience that is in going through that process either right now or in the future. What should they stay away from? What should they lean more into when it comes to the hiring process and interviewing prospects?
So, but I don't want to go back and just go back to where to find good people. One thing I forgot to mention is if you have employees already working for you, the one that's very happy with your operation, ask them for referral because they may know
Mhm.
some people who wants to come and work for your organization. Don't ask the one who complain who not happy. So I want to make sure I throw that out there.
No, that's a good point. It's a good point because it's the same thing when you're asking for referrals for your business too, right? Ask the clients who are happy with the results that you're giving them, if they know anyone else who can also use help. And then they can be the friend who is getting all the kudos because you now have been able to help their friend grow their business and they're thankful that you connected them. So I'm glad that you highlighted that. Continue what you were saying.
The whole hiring process, we watch for punctuality, right? Making sure that individual's on time. We really watch that. Make sure they're on time. Number one, how they dress for the appointment, for the interview is very important, right? I think we have to be careful what question we ask them. Definitely stay away from politics, religion, religion, of course, no personal question, but just ask them a general question about their background. And here's a good question I normally like to ask a potential employee: why do they want to work for us, right? Why do they want to work at our company? And also, we like to ask them, hey, did they look at our website, right? And tell me about the company they're looking to apply for. So those are key questions to ask a potential applicant, whether or not to find if they're a good fit for us. And I remember one of the questions I like to ask potential employees is if we hire you, what will we say about you a year from now?
That's a good one.
What will we say about you a year from now? And that's important, right? So that's a good question to kind of see their mindset and what they would say they would accomplish should we give them this opportunity for employment.
Love that. That advice, golden. Whether you are a business owner hiring or someone looking to get hired, that advice is absolutely golden. Now, we both know as entrepreneurs that the journey is not always roses. It is not always flowers, candies, and rainbows. There are some hard times on the journey to entrepreneurship. When it comes to your business journey, what's the area that you would say was the most difficult, or a time where the struggle was really real in managing your business?
Well, I would say just thinking that you didn't have any more to give to be able to push through, and you just made the decision to just keep going, because a lot of times entrepreneur, we all make the decision that we like want to give up and quit. I can't tell you how many times I fire myself. I went to the mirror, fire myself, and turn around and say, hey, you're so hired, welcome back on board, right? So those are the times, when things not going right, but it's important just to push through as an entrepreneur. And I think recently I had a client call me, and I had a lot of different things I was, I like just to put it at fire, but an opportunity day. How about that? And, 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 and,
How
and,
about that?
and she asked me, she said, Mr. Charles, how's the day going? I said, the rosy life about being an entrepreneur. If people only know, they see the finished product, but they don't see the journey you're actually going through, right? But again, being a successful entrepreneur, you have the flexibility, but you do pay a price to be able to achieve what you like to achieve.
I 1000% love what you said on so many levels. The firing yourself, you g I know there's someone out there who is going through that difficult season right now in entrepreneurship, and I just want you to know we have all been there. We have all had that moment where we're like, I should just get a job. I don't know about this. I don't know about this. I've missed those 9 to 5 days and not having to work weekends and being able to take vacations and truly just shut down and just not. So, yeah, you're right. It's definitely a trying time, and I love that you were transparent about that, feeling like you have nothing else to give. I know for me, my faith has played such a major role in that. There have been places for me through this entrepreneurship journey where I was just like, I just don't know how I'm going to manage this, whether it was dealing with a difficult interaction with the client that just kind of felt like I was being beat down, to just personal life, just lifing and just feeling like the weight of it all, I can't. And God has this amazing way of giving you strength that goes beyond your understanding, of lifting you up and getting you through those phases in life. And I'm just so grateful for that relationship, because, and I share that because so often we think that God and faith is for church and business is business. And they're two different hats in two different worlds, and they should not commingle. But I find most often that the opposite to be actually true. The Bible itself has so much advice on things that you should be doing with business, ways that you should be interacting with people. But even beyond that, because entrepreneurship is so mentally, physically, financially draining in a lot of ways, it drains just as much as it rewards. You need kind of like that something extra to make it all make sense. So tell me a little bit more about like your personal journey with that and how you push through in those difficult times.
I'm looking at you're looking above and says help, right? So, just really believe it, just really believe in my faith and asking the men upstairs for wisdom to be able to push through. I mean, definitely could not have done it without him. So
Mhm.
that's who I lean to when I feel like I can't go no more. And somehow, I get the strength to just push one more time to try to reach my goal in my businesses.
I love that. I love that. I have said that prayer so many times. God, help. That's it. That's end of statement. As a major talker, business has humbled me, hun, in so many ways. And it'll get you to that point where, help is all you can say, but asking for help is all you need to say. And it can have such a transformative effect on your mindset, your business, and everything between. And mentioning mindset is so incredibly important with everything that we're talking about. And I know you have some tips or advice for success for our audience. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. And before I go into the success tips, I guess, I make this one of them for entrepreneurs, and what I've found over the years, and I have a lot of entrepreneurs call me and say, hey, Mr. Charles, I'm working this corporate job and I'm thinking about going full-time entrepreneurship. My advice to, potential full-time entrepreneurs is stay at your corporate job as long as you can and make your corporate job pay for your entrepreneurship journey. So you're at your corporate job, you got your benefit, you don't have to worry about your bill, but around that, you're getting your entrepreneurial journey going in place. And when you get to a point financially, let's see that you have replaced your corporate job, then you can go full-time entrepreneurship. So I see a lot of people who make that break too early, then they have to go back, they get frustrated by the business, and they had a great idea, but it never really come to fruition 100% because they just didn't make that move at the right time. So I want to kind of make sure, share that with your audience, my perspective on that.
No, that's beautiful. That's perfect because that is very true. I definitely did not take that advice because I did not get that advice. I started like I can't do this job anymore and goodbye. And although I will say God did bless that endeavor and I was able to replace my income within 30 days, but had I stayed, I would have been able to save that money that I had made and use that to help me get through some of the difficult seasons in business, and even just to allow me to invest more into my business, because it's very difficult to grow a business when you have to live off the income that you are generating. That is one of the major reasons why so many businesses do not make six figures, because they do not have, or are not consciously putting aside that capital for expansion. I mean, we want these numbers, we want these figures in business, but they don't just happen, right? It takes a certain level of investment, and investment in time, and very often some level of money as well. So I love that you started with that. So give us more. Now I want more. You started off so strong. Give us more.
So last thing I would say about that is, before you take that cake to work and say I quit, make sure you heed to those advice that Mr. Shi and I just gave you this afternoon. Let me just share some success tips with you. That over the years with three companies, actually four companies, it helped me be in the top 1% of those businesses and manager of the year, associate of the year. So my first tip is, whatever goal you have, visualize your goal, and that's what I've done over here. Whatever company I've with, I have visualized me succeed. So number one, visualize your success. Number two, don't give up. Even when you think you're about to give up, go in the mirror, fire yourself and rehire yourself right away. So don't give up. Number three, the golden rule, right? Treat each other like the way you want to be treated. Live by that motto. So I certainly have lived by that motto the past 25 years in entrepreneurship. Keep your promise, right? If you say you're going to do something for a client or someone, do it. If you have an appointment with somebody, be there, be on time. So keep your promise. Number five, collaboration. I would like to say you're not on an island by yourself, right? See who you can collaborate with. And now, if you get an email from me, in the bottom of my email tagline, it says, nothing great is accomplished alone. You need a team. So I spend a lot of time collaborating with different organizations, different businesses to be able to achieve my goals. You're gonna need to put a team together to be able to reach your goals. So collaboration is a great piece that you need to put within your business. Number six, be a cop. I don't mean go be a police officer, but be a connector of people. As you out there networking, you might meet somebody and maybe you have a client, somebody you can make a connection, even though you have no monetary gain in that connection, but because you out there making connection, and it's all going to come back to you. So be a connector. And last, number seven, whatever you do, have passion. I truly believe passion is much more important than talent. If you're passionate about what you do, it's just a matter of time you're going to succeed and reach your goal. So that's my seven success tips, Ashay.
I swear it is like you are in my head, sir. So many of those tips that you gave are things that I recently actually studied in devotionals. And I think I'm always amazed by that when I find a new scripture and it's like, this is literally a book that I just read, right? This is literally something I just heard from a podcast. And people really don't realize how many golden gems and practical tips for how to be successful, how to run a business, how to build your network, how to build community. You can actually find from there. So I agree completely with every last one of your seven plus that bonus, which was a biggie. That one was a really, really good biggie. It's been such a pleasure. It's been absolutely such a pleasure. I have enjoyed this conversation. I have learned so much. I have gotten so many great reminders of holding myself accountable, of making sure I get out there and network, making sure I don't dominate the conversation in the room with one person, spreading my wings and getting out there to build my network, because your network is your net worth. And I
Absolutely.
hope you enjoyed this conversation as well. You guys, if you enjoyed everything that Gerard has said here today, I'm going to make sure that you guys are able to get connected with him. Make sure you check the show notes or the description in order to get his exact contact information, because this is a guy that you need to know. This is a guy that you need to make sure you have his contact information, because as we said, you never know what seed is being planted right now, even with you just being a part of this conversation, that can bear fruit in the future. Until next time, signing out, it's your business coach for this season in growth, LaShay LaRue. Bye, my cherished loves.
Take care.